Welcome back to Build Stuff with Ben, or BS with Ben for short. What we're going to cover today is how to take something like this, which is a print from a resin printer, and it turns out that it works in those little die cutters you get at hobby shops, and you can cut EVA foam with it. Stay tuned, and I'm going to show you how. Last week was best described as wow. I honestly, I don't know what to say. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Tested. Thank you to anybody that subscribed. It means the world to me that, you know, I'm not that crazy, and some of the stuff I invent is not just for me. And I love sharing it, and I love what you're doing with it. So that's great. I went to my Resin 3D printer, just an Elgoo Mars, and thought, hey, if I can design something up in CAD with like close to the same edges as you would see in the dies that you buy at Michael's, will it cut foam? Turns out, yeah, it kind of does. You get pieces like this. So I'm just going to show you really quickly what I did, and then from there, you know, hopefully some of you can run with this. If you have one of these inexpensive resin printers, use it, maybe create dies. So far I can get between 20 and 50 cuts out of one of these dies. Is that better than a laser? I don't know. But if you don't have a laser and you have one of these resin printers, there are ways to get around that. Speaking of which, I know I'm all over the place, but just hold on. Very important that you know what you're doing with the resin. So what I use is this mono cure, and it works really well. I'm sure most resins are going to be reasonably equal. But the interesting thing about monocure is that they have this Flex 100, and you can mix it in with this stuff. So you can have super rubbery parts with just this, or you can have a semi-rubbery part by 50-50 with this and the other stuff. Now what I've done for this is made a 90-10 percentage mix. And why am I doing that? Is that these prints with the regular resin are kind of brittle. So you need to toughen them up a little bit, and I toughen them up with this. So that's basically what it really boils down to, is create the CAD. So let's take a look at some of the CAD here. Now for the resin printer, a few things we need to keep in mind. One is that you're going to need a decent backing. So I made sure that, like, normally you place these dies between a couple sheets of plastic. This happens to be 3 millimeters, which is the thickness of one of those sheets of plastic, so I replace it entirely. Very, very important that you support this die on both sides, and I'll show you when you do it. Otherwise, you'll end up having it crack and fall apart. And I've had a few fall apart, but not a huge deal. So what we can do is I could show you how I did all the CAD for this, and it's going to vary from time to time or whatever you use. I choose to use Onshape. It's an online CAD stuff. Look it up. There are free accounts. There's some people out there that say, well, the free accounts aren't really free and don't like the rules. Well, you know, that's what comes with free. Regardless, let's just start, and I'll roll back to about here, and then we can kind of walk you through what was done. So roll to here. I saw that. There it is. Well, you can see when I have it highlighted there is I got a bunch of surfaces from the sketch of the outline, right? Then what I did is I thickened it up so that you have parts, and then I slowly started coming through and adding a base, and then adding fillets to where they need to be to reinforce the blade as it sticks up. Now this blade here is super thin. Let's see what we got here. It's 0.025 millimeters. Is my printer capable of doing that? Not really, but this gives me something that's easy to model against. So how I came up with the profile for the dies is I just took one of these dies that they had, took a look at how they did it. Some of them are a little different. These acid etched ones look a little different in the sense that the profile is a little different, and it's more like if you get, yeah, I'm not going to bother trying to get that super small, this little fillet in there, and then, you know, the blades on these aren't very sharp. Now these things will cut paper. Will my die cut paper? No, it will not. There we go. Just see, it will dent paper, but it won't cut paper. But this is where I thought it was kind of interesting, is if we get foam, here's my die. I'm going to run this out here. And we only need one of those plates, because remember I took this plate here and I made it as thick as the die. Can you see that? So I only need one plate. But it's very important that this is supported entirely on the base of this guy here. Then we're just going to throw some foam on top. Do this guy. Now, part of the reason why I thought it was kind of interesting that I could not cut paper, but I can cut foam. So let's just run this through. Is that these dies, these metal dies, when they're super dull, will still cut EVA foam. So if you've got some dies that don't cut paper anymore, there's a very, very good chance that they will cut your foam. So this die here has done about 15 or 20 pieces, and it's still cutting fine. Of course, I'm treating it like a baby, but basically what it boils down to, and I can't get over it, is you can go and get a resin printer for a few $100s, and you can design something up for free with CAD software, and you can make yourself a die cutter. Is the die cutter perfect? No. Will it do really cool, intricate things? Yes. Will it do a lot of them? No. But for me, especially since I am now on the quest to get a die made, a metal die made for making my chainmail, is I can find out what works and what doesn't. So for me, this is invaluable. This is a game changer. Now, for those out there that craft and do things, this can also be a game changer. Let's say that you have some of these dies sitting around, but they're scrapped because they won't cut paper anymore. Well, they'll probably cut foam. And it's something where you could do a custom profile or something that looks really cool and make it your own and take it to craft fairs. So that's what I have for today. Is it the best? No, not really. And I will get some more content out there, but I've kind of been scrambling trying to make some more of this chainmail for you guys. And hopefully those who have ordered, you will get it very soon. I very, very, very much appreciate your orders. I was thinking I'd get, a couple hundred. I've got a lot more than a couple hundred sales. So thank you so much. And I will talk to you guys next week and have a project that we can build with the foam mail and potentially some other things that are coming up, and a little more information on foamarmory.com.